The Scottish National Party are falling apart, with the second Scottish referendum getting destroyed in the opinion polls, the leadership resigning, and all the previous scandals coming back to haunt them forever. This update is about the official-ish list of membership of the SNP that's officially and finally been released, despite the fact that Peter Morrell, who was until yesterday the chief executive of the SNP, who also happens to be Nicola Sturgeon's husband, who was refusing to publish them. We now have the numbers, and it's not looking too good for the SNP. Let's get into it. So, the SNP membership plummets by 30% in just over a year. All the rats are jumping ships to probably the Scottish Green Party, maybe some of them going to the Scottish Labour Party. I'm not really sure what the rest are doing, because especially those who want independence, or what I would call essentially destruction of the union and isolation. In 2021, they had over 103,000 members. Now, they've gone down to 72,000. And the problem with this is that there is an issue with the correlation between the number of members and revenue from membership, which I'll get into it in a second. But the main problem is, we've had this issue over the last few days. Ash Regan, who's one of the leadership candidates, alongside Kate Forbes, they've been writing open letters to Peter Morrell, who was a CEO of SNP, and also they went on media to talk about a lack of transparency when it comes to this SNP leadership election. Ash Regan said, in the interest of transparency and fairness, all campaigns must clarify on the number of SNP members voting in this election. So in order to get some sort of clarity, they actually said, well, why can't Peter Morrell be more honest? And who is actually running this election? We got the numbers. The problem with this is that Peter Morrell has now resigned. He jumped before he was pushed with immediate effect. And Nicola Sturgeon is also leaving. But their so-called legacy, or their dark legacy, remains in place, and Humza Yousaf is going to be potentially the next leader. So technically, nothing is going to change when it comes to the structure of the SNP, but the past will follow them going forward. So we actually have, for example, the investigation into the £600,000 missing money, the missing donations. The police are now stepping up their probe into this, the fund for this Scottish independence referendum. Nicola Sturgeon promised. She literally went to all these people and all the SNP members and supporters, begged for money, and somehow the money is gone. Same thing happened somehow with the lockdown grants that the SNP government received from Westminster between 2020 and 2022. I'm not really sure what happened with that. A lot of it was wasted anyway. The rest of it wasn't even used. Somehow everything is the English's fault. Everything goes back to the English, the evil English. Now, we actually discovered something really fascinating. Wings Over Scotland tweeted, the SNP's membership income has barely changed in the last few years. It's going to be really weird if it turns out that they got almost exactly the same amount of money from 78,000 members as they did from 120,000 members. It's a little bit of a mystery, let's just say, that the number of members have gone down, but the income, the revenue from membership hasn't gone down. It's basically the same. What is going on here? Is it some sort of Diane Abbott doing the calculations for the SNP at this point? But let's talk about what's going to be haunting them forever. Because I'm going to keep an eye on this weird mystery of the revenue for the SNP as a party going forward in the next few days and weeks. But let's talk about what's going to be coming back. So the reason that the members are fleeing the SNP and completely quitting the membership. Look at this list, for example. Let's start from the top. You've got the ferry fiasco, and the attempt to nationalize things didn't really go well because they completely messed up the management of the industry. They haven't even completed any of the infrastructure that they were supposed to be building, and all the ferries and everything else. The second Scottish referendum has also failed, well, at least for now. Not only the attempt to actually do it, but also they went a bit rogue over the last few months. Nicola Sturgeon tried to do it in a more illegal way, and she even went to beg the Supreme Court to support her, and even the Supreme Court said no. And in the opinion polls, the referendum is now going down. School closures. She's completely destroyed the education system single-handedly over the last few years in Scotland. She's managed to be even worse than Alex Salmond was as First Minister, so well done, Nicola Sturgeon. But again, of course, she came out and said, oh, the education system and standards going down in Scotland is the fault of the English. Yep, obviously. The NHS scandals continue every single day and week in Scotland, despite the fact that they keep throwing money at the bottomless pit that is the NHS. That is also completely mismanaged. The missing money we've already covered. It's not just a £600,000 missing money, but so much overall that we've reported over the last few years on the SNP's management, financial management. Now, the lockdown grants waste, that's also been covered. All these things, including, by the way, political scandals, like the Alex Salmond inquiry that was happening a couple of years ago, and the existing inquiries and investigations. I don't understand how the mainstream media were portraying Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP government, if you were to watch TV, as some sort of strong and stable leadership and administration. That was the persona. Just like Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand, just like Justin Trudeau or Justin Castro in Canada. This is the importance and the power of information and manipulation. Because when the media, even though, of course, the number of people watching TV has gone down, but the influence of the mainstream media is still very, very big. And the way they shift the narrative towards what they want you to believe, of course, people like us, we're not going to believe it, but on a like wider level, across society, they create this dark cloud of their truth. So they create this persona of Nicola Sturgeon or Jacinda Ardern being very good leaders, very loved leaders, and completely competent. Obviously, it's never sustainable. At some point, the whole house of cards collapses. And it did with Jacinda Ardern, now with Nicola Sturgeon. It's happening now with Sadiq Khan in London. Next is, of course, Justin Trudeau. And we're going to continue until we take back control of freedom, self-determination, and, of course, the British Constitution. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to share this video. I'm Mahyar Tousi, and we are the media.